Hello everyone. Today I'm going to do a what's in my small group binder. So I've had this binder for a few years now, and what I found that works best for me for planning out my small group lessons is if I use one binder for writing, reading, and math. I used to have three separate binders, and I just felt like it was really too hard to keep up with, and it was easier for me to access what I needed just having one binder. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. So when you first open up the binder, I have a small group schedule and it says reading, writing, and math on it. And this is actually from C. Jane Teach. This is her template. And so what I like about it is it has a weekly layout, so I'm able to plan exactly what I want to do or kind of have an idea of what I want to do. Obviously, I can print this out multiple times, but I prefer to just put it in a sheet protector and then I just use it to Post-its. And that way I can just throw the Post-its away when I'm done and I have a new sheet for the next week or whenever I choose to do it again. So then when you open it up here, you're going to see something called guided reading plans. And this is just a cover that I use so that I know that I'm in the reading portion of my plans. And I'll go ahead and link everything that I got and where I got it from. So I'm actually going to slide my binder over so you can see. So this is actually part of this here. And I like it because it's a schedule, and so it has the blue group, the green group, the pink group, the yellow group, and the purple group. And so it kind of gives me an idea of who I'm going to see. I will say what I do is I meet with a group per week. However, I will meet with one group. Like if I'm meeting with the blue group, then the next day I'll quickly meet with the blue group just to check in, and then I'll meet with the green group, and then I'll quickly check in with the green group, and then I'll meet with the yellow group. So I make sure that I'm meeting with at least two groups per reading session or guided reading, but I'm always doing a quick check-in just so I can see how their reading is. For the highest group, which would be like the purple in this case, I meet with them sporadically, but Fridays, if I ever need to check in with them or if I know for sure that I need to check in just to see how things are going, then they have a designated day, which is Friday. However, usually my lower group, which will be the blue group, I'm trying to meet with them 2 to 3 to 4 times a week because they need the most support. And then what I like about this page here is it actually got the idea from the person who I got this template from. And so she uses these clear little note stickies to write the student's name on it, and you can just use a Sharpie or a pen. And what I like about it is you color code it pending which color the group is, and they actually come in purple, pink, yellow, green, and blue, so it's perfect to use. And then I also have this in a sheet protector, that way I don't have to worry about reprinting the side every year. Another thing that I like about this method is that in the case that maybe a student is gotten higher in their reading, I'm able to track it. So if I had a student who started off at blue but now was in yellow, so I know that they're moving up in their reading, and so I'm able to make sure that their reading progresses. And if I have a blue group and I'm seeing that they're stagnant, then that means I need to figure something out. So it kind of gives a great tool for me to kind of keep track of what the students are. This actually came from the reading writing project from the Teachers College. And it was something that one of our literacy coaches gave us, and it was just like a quick way to think about coaching tips for how we approach our small group for reading and writing. And it just says choose what and how you're going to teach it, keep it really short, use a familiar text, in other words that would be a mentor text, and then effectively demonstrate it, name the point, enact it, name what you've seen the students do, coach them if needed, which obviously they will need, and then make a follow-up appointment. And so that pretty much gives you all that you need. And then this here, I'm actually going to lift this up. It might not be easy to see. I'm going to see if I can move the camera. Here we go. So this right here is how to choose a lesson. And so this actually came out of a book, and I'll link the book below. And it's all about small group for literacy, and it's like perfect. So it's like if you see this, then this is what you need to work on. And so it tells you exactly phonics, so on and so forth. So I really appreciate that one because it allows you to think about what you see the students doing and then which ways you can support them. And so then in the book, it also has this really cool thing that I'm going to show you now. And it talks about what reading behaviors you see. And so it's going to be kind of hard to see. Sorry for the glare. Let's see. I'm going to try to zoom in, so give me a second. There we go. So here it is just the reading levels, and then it just talks about like if they're at level A, what do you see and what kind of things you might want to work on all the way to level D. And I teach kindergarten, so this is perfect for me. Now going back down to here, we have another page that's very important, and it just gives you a lesson sequence of like how to teach lessons. Sorry guys, I'm moving the camera as I do this, and I'm going to actually zoom back out. And it's okay if you can't see it because I'll link everything below. And then it has one for comprehension and things of that nature. It has one for vocabulary, one for fluency. And this is also another resource that I found that I really like a lot. And what this is it is a tracker for tracking where the students are in their reading level. So, for example, it has kindergarten here is in pink, first grade in orange, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, all the way to eighth grade. And so it shows you where they should be reading at. And I like it because I'm able to check it. I just use it to check them off for what level that they are at. I don't write in the date because we have actual reading assessments that we use. So I don't need to have the date here because it's on the reading assessment. But this gives me one quick way to track the student's reading level. And I really, really like it because it's just one sheet. And I can always reference it when I'm getting ready to make my reading lessons. Okay, so then next here we have the guided reading lesson. And this is also from C. Jane Teach. And so what I did here is I just wrote in exactly what I needed to remind myself until it becomes part of my routine. So I always remind the students to bring one book with them that they've been working on, either during guided reading or just some other book that they've been reading. And then that way, while I'm gathering all the students, they can be reading and doing their own thing, and then we can all start together. And so the great thing is if students are still coming over, I can kind of just listen to the kindergartners reading, seeing what's working well for them and what kind of things we need to work on. And so this is just a very quick sheet to use, and it's pretty simple. And I'm going to zoom out. So yeah, so that's what it is. And then this one is in a sheet protector. And then here I just put a little post-it right there because I like to know that my extra pages are here. And so I just made a whole bunch of copies so that when I make my lessons, then they're there. So then I don't need to make them often. And this is for day 1. And then for day 2, this is when I come back and I assess them. And I just want to see how they're doing. And then it just kind of helps me to stay focused. So I know they're doing well with that book, if they need support with that book. It just kind of lets me stay quickly together with all that. And then again, I make extra copies here. And then in addition to that, I also do conferring, which is when I just kind of check in with students doing table conferring. And I'm going to try to zoom in just so you can see a little bit. So this has, I believe, 24 spots, so it works perfectly because if I want to check in with students quickly while they're at their table, but I don't want to waste a lot of time, then I just have it here. I can write their name in. I can give them a compliment, think about what teaching point I want to give them, and then their next steps. And so it's something easy and quick that I can do and that I don't have to spend a lot of time on it. And so again, I have one sheet in the protector, and then I have the rest of them in the thing. And then I have the rest of them just here so I can use them. And I have quite a big stack of them. And then here, this is something that was given to me by a teacher in the district that I worked. And so it has all of the teaching points for the kindergarten reading workshop through the Teachers College. And so that way, I don't really use this per student, but I do have it for like what are the main points of that month that the students need to work on. And then from there, I'm able to create lessons based on what they need to know and what they're actually working on and what they can do by themselves. And then every so often, I'll do individual conferences. And these are for students who are like severely behind that kind of don't fit into a small group, which can happen sometimes. And so usually these are the students who just need a lot of support, or my students who are ELL. So they might need a lot more guidance and a lot more support than a group of 3 or 4 students. And so I'm able to keep just notes on this particular student. And so again, I keep it in the sheet protector, and then I have my extra forms here. And then it's important to keep the reading standards. So I will link below where this came from as well. And so it has all the reading standards. Now, the tricky thing about reading is that sometimes students are they're all reading at the same level, so you can put them in a group. But then sometimes they're at different reading levels, but they're working on the same skill. And so for that, you want to have a strategy group and a strategy lesson. And so my lesson looks a little bit differently. And I actually found this resource online. And then I just kind of keep track of like what the strategy is, what skill it is, and then how I'm going to teach it. And then I just quickly do it. So that's a little bit different if you have students who are working on the same skill, but they're at different reading levels. So that was a good way to think about that. And then I just keep some resources here, like we do emergent storybook reading as a part of the reading workshop curriculum. And so here is like what that should look like, and then their attempts to reading it. So then that moves us into math. And so where I work at the school that I work at, we do not have guided math, but I've added in my own math centers because I think it's important for the students to practice math independently. So here you will see kind of the same thing where I have a schedule up, and then I have my groups. I do find that groups work a lot differently with math than with literacy, because I find with math there's just so many ways to get to an answer and so many ways to think about math. And so I find that my math groups are so fluid. Like some of the students are fluent, some of the students are working on basic concepts, some of the students are way advanced. And so there's just so many things that can happen in a math day. So I feel like all of my groups are fluid to a certain extent, but the math groups, they range constantly because I can see a lot of gaps that happens with our math curriculum. So that is that. And then for me, I just kind of made this like first week thing, and I want to see if I can zoom in on it. And again, everybody, this is like my genuine binder. So that's why you see like Post-its everywhere. So I made this, and so for the first 4 weeks, we go over routines, how to clean up a center, guided discoveries, where to get things, where to put them back at, where to put their math journals at, because I teach kindergarten. So I'm making sure that every little single thing is done correctly. And so once we've done all of that, they're off on their own to use whatever center that they want. And so I break the students down, and I want to actually take this out the binder so you can see it, into math groups. And how I think about them is, and we can zone back out now, is by apprentice, practitioner, novice, and expert. And so that kind of lets me know where they are. So if they're a novice, they need concrete things, right? So they're going to have manipulatives and counters in front of them. If they're apprentice, they've got it. They're working on being a little bit more fluent. Practitioner, they can get some challenges in. They can get a little bit more in depth with it. And then expert, you can really extend and challenge your knowledge. And again, it doesn't mean that for students at a novice level that I'm not going to challenge them, but I want to make sure that they have a concrete understanding before I move in to more abstract concepts. And so that's something to consider for math. And then for my components of how I teach my like guided math is we do a warm-up first, which is like a fluency, and it could be anything from like counting some pennies to a sprint or a math problem that we've been working on. And then I do whole class instruction, and then we do guided math, and then we do a regroup where we check back in. And I find it so much easier and so much better to teach one solid concept with reviews that way. And then here, this is something that I made for that's particular to the math. They're all reading at the same level, so you can put them in a group. But then sometimes they're at different reading levels, but they're working on the same skill. And so for that, you want to have a strategy group and a strategy lesson. And so my lesson looks a little bit differently. And I actually found this resource online. And then I just kind of keep track of like what the strategy is, what skill it is, and then how I'm going to teach it. And then I just quickly do it. So that's a little bit different if you have students who are working on the same skill, but they're at different reading levels. So that was a good way to think about that. And then I just keep some resources here, like we do emergent storybook reading as a part of the reading workshop curriculum. And so here is like what that should look like, and then their attempts to reading it. So then that moves us into math. And so where I work at the school that I work at, we do not have guided math, but I've added in my own math centers because I think it's important for the students to practice math independently. So here you will see kind of the same thing where I have a schedule up, and then I have my groups. I do find that groups work a lot differently with math than with literacy, because I find with math there's just so many ways to get to an answer and so many ways to think about math. And so I find that my math groups are so fluid. Like some of the students are fluent, some of the students are working on basic concepts, some of the students are way advanced. And so there's just so many things that can happen in a math day. So I feel like all of my groups are fluid to a certain extent, but the math groups they range constantly because I can see a lot of gaps that happens with our math curriculum. So that is that. And then for me, I just kind of made this like first week thing, and I want to see if I can zoom in on it. And again, everybody, this is like my genuine binder. So that's why you see like post-its everywhere. So I made this, and so for the first 4 weeks, we go over routines, how to clean up the center, guided discoveries, where to get things, where to put them back at, where to put their math journals at, because I teach kindergarten. So I'm making sure that every little single thing is done correctly. And so once we've done all of that, they're off on their own to use whatever center that they want. And so I break the students down, and I'm going to actually take this out the binder so you can see it, into math groups. And how I think about them is, and we can zone back out now, is by apprentice, practitioner, novice, and expert. And so that kind of lets me know where they are. So if they're a novice, they need concrete things, right? So they're going to have manipulatives and counters in front of them. If they're apprentice, they've got it. They're working on being a little bit more fluent. Practitioner, they can get some challenges in. They can get a little bit more in depth with it. And then expert, you can really extend and challenge your knowledge. And again, it doesn't mean that for students at a novice level that I'm not going to challenge them, but I want to make sure that they have a concrete understanding before I move in to more abstract concepts. And so that's something to consider for math. And then for my components of how I teach my like guided math is we do a warm-up first, which is like a fluency, and it could be anything from like counting some pennies to a sprint or a math problem that we've been working on. And then I do whole class instruction, and then we do guided math, and then we do a regroup where we check back in. And I find it so much easier and so much better to teach one solid concept with reviews that way. And then here, this is something that I made for that's particular to the math curriculum, and we have modules 1 through 6 for kindergarten. And we start the year by teaching module 1. And so what I did was I knew that if I taught guided math, that I wanted them to be able to have concept ideas in a concrete way. So I just extrapolated all of the important things for that module, and I put it here. So in the case that I'm working with a student and I'm like, okay, what would be the best thing for them to work on right now in this moment in time? Here's what they're working on. And this is what I'm going to make sure that they all have an understanding of, which makes it so much easier because I'm able to focus the math groups but not spend too much time trying to figure it all out. And then here, same thing. So we teach module 1, and then we go to module 3, but I put 2 and 6 together because we teach 2 and 6 together. So it has all of the information for 2 and 6, and then we teach module 3, and then we teach module 4, and then we teach module 5. So again, I have it in the sheet protector, and then I have everything just ready to go. And then here, this is just something that we talk a lot about number bonds in kindergarten, so this is just a resource that in case I need to make a copy of it, I have it. And then right here, these are 10 frames and 5 frames that I use, and so these help me to stay really, really organized. If I need to print something out quickly, I don't have to think about it. I can just take my binder with me. And then for our district, we had a unit plan that we worked on. I don't use this as much, but I just kept it just in case we need it. And then these are just things that the kids work on, using a quiet voice, being kind and sharing, taking turns, and then talking about what they're working on. And then I'm super organized, so I had to do this. And so what I did was I want to zoom in as much as possible. Sorry, everybody, I'm trying my best here. So I made bins. I believe I have 62 bins. And so I just go down the list, and these work with what they're working on in each module. And so I teach the bin after they've mastered the skill, because I think that way they can do it a little bit more independently. And so these are the math bins that I use. And then actually they go up to 66. And so I just have different math bins, and then in the case that like materials get lost, then I know exactly where they go. I know what bin they go in, and then I don't have to think about it as much. All right, I'm going to zoom back out. And then again, I have the math standards here, which came from the same resource, which I will put down below. And then I have a fluency because my students work on fluency, and so they have fluencies 1 through 11, so I just check them off for that. And then these are just some mathematical practices that our district uses. And then we also have focal students for our math block. So in the case I have students who are really falling behind, this is what I'm going to do to support them. And then last but not least, I have guided writing. And so for writing, it's so similar to reading, same thing. I have these little stickies that I just put over here. And I have to create my own for this. And I just used hearts because I was like, what easy shape can I use? So I use that. I can write the kids' names on it and then I can change them. And then here I have lessons for phonics, phonemic awareness, and phonological awareness. And then this was our little toolkit that we got to make. So these are just little things that I use for my writing research, decide and complement and teach. And then they talked about having like a little toolkit with us. And one of the things that I really liked was they said, well, you can sit next to a student while they work, look at their writing, and then begin my conference. And so that lets us know that we don't always have to go into the conference with a teaching point in mind, but like through their writing in that moment, I can see what they're working on and then I can do it. And then I thought this was really great, and we get it to the parents. This is also through the reading and writing workshop through Teachers College. And it just has a progression of spelling development. And it just talks about how you go from scribbling to writing to sentences, hearing sounds, writing 2 to 3 words, beginning to write a sentence to writing sentences with spaces. And so it kind of gives parents an idea of like what it looks like to be a kindergartner. And I think that's really, really important. And then it's also came from CJ and Teach. And so this is my small group conferences. And then same thing, I just kind of see what they're working on and put the kids in a small group. And then again, too, if I have students who are like ELLs or students who are severely behind, small group may not work as well for them. So individual conferences are better. So then I would use an individual conference to work with them. And then for our writing in my district, we focus on 3 types of writing, which is narrative. So this is all that they should be able to do in a narrative writing by the end of the school year. By the end of the period of writing the narrative. And then we have information, which is our how-to. So we have this checklist, and it just tells us exactly what students should be able to do by the end. And then it helps in conferences. And then I have one for opinion. So we do narrative, we do information, and then we do opinion. And so here's the one for opinion. And so it just lets me know what it is that students need to work on, and I can use that. And then the same thing here. I found that it's really hard with the writing workshop curriculum to sometimes remember all of the writing that the students have done, because I'm teaching them how to be organized and neat in their writing and keep their writing folders neat. So what I do is I just write all the students' names down on this page here. And then I just kind of give them a check, like they finished a page today, they finished a book today, and then I can see like how many books they finished, and that lets me know. And it's even really good for the parents too, because if I can see like within a week that a student has only done like 2 pages, and I'm thinking, okay, you have three more days of writing, what were you doing? And so that lets me know that maybe I need to do a small group with them about how to finish a sentence, how to draw a picture, and how to move on to the next step. And so that's very, very important. And so I think it kind of helps me stay focused. And so that's pretty much it. And then I have assessments at the back, but again, school year hasn't started yet, so I don't have any assessments here. So that is a look at my small group binder, looking at math, looking at reading, and looking at writing. I hope that helped you all out, especially for new teachers if you're trying to figure out how to do small groups, especially at the kindergarten level. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. Happy planning.